Hi, I'm Spiders, a top 350 Galeman, and a lot of people have been asking me for advice about their Gale build, so I thought that I would make this video to help you all out. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into it. First, if you're going Suffocate path, you really need to make sure that you get 30 strength at least. Now, the reason for this is because in order to get Gale Coil and Stifle Jump, which are two very important Suffocate talents, you need to have 30 strength. So make sure that you get 30 strength post-shrine when you have your Galebreathe. That's important. Now, if you're going Suffocate path and getting 30 strength, and even if you're not and you're going Spectre path and you don't need to get 30 strength, I still recommend trying to get at least 40 strength. With 40 strength, you get Showstopper, but also, I'd argue even more importantly, Unwavering Resolve. Unwavering Resolve is a talent that's really good for maintaining a reasonable posture level. And especially with the Gale Hero Blade and Curved, it can be really hard to maintain your posture with unreliable crits to activate critical attack. So really try and get 40 strength. I promise you, it'll benefit you and you'll notice it. The strength has other benefits as well, such as getting Spine Cutter, so definitely a really good talent on Gale. Try and get 40 if you can. Also, one last thing is that 20 strength, you can get Pillars of Arisia, so if you like that mantra, keep that in mind. You need 20 strength. Now, the next stat up is Fortitude. Fortitude really isn't that different compared to other attunements, but probably after the changes, I'd recommend going either 40 or 50 Fortitude. If you have the extra points to get 50 Fortitude and get to the finish, for sure go that. Would not really recommend going Reinforce on new builds after the changes, so keep that in mind. But yeah, definitely at least 40 strength to get Exoskeleton. Exoskeleton, everyone knows, good on every build, so try your best to get that if possible. Moving on to Agility. Agility is a stat that every build should really be going in PvP these days, at least 25. On Gale, 25 Agility for Speed Demon is really a must, since with Inhale, you'll be always proccing Speed Demon, and it will make you do much more damage, so try to get 25 Agility. If you can't get 25 Agility, then I don't know what kind of build you're going, so definitely a must-have. Past that, you can go 45 Strength to get Steady Nerves and Ghost. If you're someone who likes those talents, that would be a good option. Steady Nerves is a really good talent for posture management as well, and Ghost is always nice to have. And past that, you could still go Tap Dancer if you want to. You do get Cheap Shot as well. I would say that it's better to go Tap Dancer on Gale builds than other builds because, at least on offense, in addition to defense, you will be Tap Dancering a lot. So it is probably a viable option if you have the extra points, but it's really up to you. I wouldn't do it if you're going a normal weapon, only really if you're going a Hero Blade or Curved, so keep that in mind. Also, a couple talents that you need Agility for are 20 Agility for Air Pressure. And Air Pressure is a talent that gives you really nice Gale dashes. It's kind of hard to use consistently, but since you're going 25 Agility most likely anyways, might as well pick it up. And also you need 30 Agility for Aero Gliding. And Aero Gliding is sort of just like a utility preference card, I'd say. So up to you if you're willing to invest the extra 5 points if you're going 25 Agility, but not too bad. Moving on to Intelligence. Intelligence is a stat that I see a lot of people go 25 on, 40 on, either that or a high amount to get Prediction. I will say I don't really think it's worth it to go 40 Intelligence on Gale because the only really talent you get besides all the dead gods is Overflowing Dam, but when you're inhaling a lot on Galebreathe, you won't really be able to take advantage of that. So only go 40 Intelligence if you're also going 65 Willpower for all the dead gods. Besides that, 25 Intelligence is a pretty solid baseline since you get Ever-Changing Aegis and Perfect Flash, which are two pretty solid Intelligence cards, especially Ever-Changing Aegis, which makes you way more tanky against Attunement builds. So pretty nice talent, I recommend picking it up. And 80 Intelligence, or 85, 90, somewhere around there. This is really just for Prediction and some of the extra Intelligence talents. It's up to you if you want to do this, it's just really Prediction at this point for Gale. Modifier's talent isn't really useful, and I guess the pen is alright if you want to do that, it's up to you. Okay, next we have Willpower. So for Willpower, I'd say that a decent default if you have the extra stat points is going 25. Because there's some really good talents you can get at 25 Willpower, such as Firmly Planted, which makes you a lot more mobile, and Disbelief, which is really good against Vision Shaper cheese builds, and worse against Charm, which is really nice. So 25 Agility is a decent number. If you're going Reinforced Armor, you could also go 35 or 30. I'd say 35 is better though, because 5 stat points isn't really a lot, and you can get Last Resort, which is really helpful. More so in Chime, I guess, in the overworld, but still a pretty decent talent in both situations, so might as well pick it up. And besides that, there's also all the dead gods, which you could go if you want to, but I'd say it's sort of preference and depends on your playstyle if you land a lot of M1s, so definitely up to you on this stat. But yeah, definitely those numbers, 25, 35, 65 are really the most common best options for you. And last up we have Charisma. Now, do not sleep on Charisma, because Charisma, even if you only have 25, is super good, and you can get a constant 10% defense buff and a 10% damage buff with Tough Love and Charisma at cast. So a lot of people when they're low on points try to skip the stat, but really try your best to get it because that 10% defense and 10% attack boost really go a long way. And even better if you can get 55 Charisma, which a lot of people do pre-shrine, it's pretty good. You can get Dazing Finisher as well as the other Charm caster talents such as Lasting Charisma and Chaotic Charm, which are all very good options, especially Dazing Finisher, I like to emphasize, because especially if you're going Shaman's World Throw, Dazing Finisher is super good because you can punish people a lot for days. Galebreathe has many options like that outside of Champions World War 2, so if possible, try and get this 55 Charisma. Makes you way more tanky, makes you do more damage, and gives you access to Dazing Finishers, so pretty strong stat for sure. But yeah, if you can't make the 55, try and get 25. If you can't get 25, it's kind of unfortunate, but you can maybe manage without it. But yeah, 25 Charisma, very good. Charisma in general, pretty good, so try and pick it up. Okay, now moving on to the traits. If you don't know what to do, and for most builds, what I recommend doing is going 6 Vitality, 6 Erudition. Now, the reason for this is because Vitality is meta, health is really important in the game right now, so 6 Vitality is a very common stat you should go for. And 6 Erudition is also very strong right now, very meta, because Erudition is directly tied to your ability to vent, and venting is what can also preserve your health, as well as making sure that you can use all your mantras when you need to. So even though it might seem like a little imbalance in your stats, 6 Vitality, 6 Erudition is really the meta right now. Ask any top 10 players that Musa and they'll probably do the same. So this is a pretty good option. But another option is also putting some of the Song Chant, which you could do if you want to. This is really more so for builds that go high intelligence maybe and get the talent that allows you to bypass your pen limit. But it's mostly down to preference, I'd say. If you don't have any erudition problems, you could do this. Would not recommend going proficiency though, because proficiency just does not increase your weapon's damage enough for the trait allocation, so avoid that, I'd say. But yeah, you can go Song Chant potentially if you want to. It's really up to you and preference. I'll also briefly go over the weapons and Attunement just as a little extra. So for the weapons, yeah, all of these are really viable. If you want, you can check out my Gale weapon combinations video, which goes a lot more into detail on it. So yeah, pretty much go whatever you want, but specifically for curved, like I mentioned, that 30 medium is pretty good because you get access to some talents like Stronghold and all that while also being able to use your curves, so pretty solid number. But yeah, pretty much just go whatever you want. It's up to preference. Or go Hero Blade or Curved. Good, all these are good options that are viable, so it's up to you. As for the other attunements, I won't really go into too much detail on this either, since this could really be its own video in itself. But I will say that Frostra has a pretty nice dual attunement talent with Gale for 40 Frostra and 40 Gale, I believe. Which makes it that if you have Haunted Gale, it applies Chill, which can proc other talents like St. J, which is pretty good. And also besides that, there's a dual attunement talent with Galebreathe and Flame Charm called Plan the Flames. You might have seen Agmon's video on it. And that's pretty solid, although it requires a pretty high Flame Charm and Gale with investment, so keep that in mind. Besides that, there's also a Gale Shadow talent, which you can get with 60 Galebreathe and 40 Shadow Cast, called Pressure Detonation. But this talent really isn't that great. You never see anyone using it, so I just avoid it in my opinion. And lastly, there's also a Thunder Call and Galebreathe talent called Storm Link. This talent also kind of sucks. You never see anyone use it. You don't really get much from the shock from hitting Galebreathe mantras when you have Storm Link, and you also need a static link on to even get that effect in the first place, so not great. I guess you could go it if you're trying to go the new mantra in Galebreathe, but not really worth it. I think most people would agree on that. I've actually never seen anyone use this talent, so would not really recommend changing your build to get this talent, but it's up to you, of course. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. We're almost at 2K subs, so let's see if we can get there by the end of the month. See you in the next one.